All right, London's Blue Podcast back with a crazy day in Chelsea news. We're talking Lavia, Ornstein bombs, Caicedo updates, information about the new captain and vice captain at Chelsea Football Club, rumors of Kepa leaving as well, in addition to the Tyler Adams pursuit that's going on. Dan here, one of your hosts, alongside Nick, and just a crazy day, Nick, in Chelsea news. It was hard to keep up with everything that was going on, but maybe the first thing we should talk about was the one that had what people generally view as some of the best sourcing in the game at the moment. David Ornstein reporting just 5 hours ago, at the time that we're recording this, that Southampton, Chelsea, Lavia, something might be back on the table here.
Yeah, Ornstein tweeted a few hours ago, and again, it's late on Wednesday, August 9th as we record this. So if things have changed by the time you hear this, that's just the state of play. So caveat done. Southampton have tonight received an offer from Chelsea for Romeo Lavia. CFC proposal is £48 million, including add-ons. Closest anyone has come to the Saints' £50 million valuation to date. The 19-year-old, because we don't sign players over 21, you know that, Dan, subject to multiple rejected bids from Liverpool. Dialogue continues. And I think my first thought on the Lavia news is obviously there is another midfielder, which we will touch on next, that has been the priority the entire time. When I first heard this, I was like, is this a leverage play? Are we going after someone different? But every major journalist who, has sourced the Lavia news says, just like the Tyler Adams, stuff that we talked about a couple days ago, it seems to be in addition to the Moises Caicedo saga that will never fucking end for no reason. My initial thoughts were, you sign a young Leslie Ugochukwu, right, who likely will head out on loan, but as a profile of player, him and Lavia share a lot of similarities, right? They're both not number sixes. They're both more kind of box-to-box eights. That have different qualities on the ball, but we saw Lavia's quality in the Premier League last year. We did not see Ugochukwu as he was in Ligue 1. We go from having very few midfielders to all of a sudden potentially being overfloweth with midfielders. Dan, what are your thoughts on the Lavia bid?
So I think there's two key things to keep in mind, that this may have escalated because of the Christopher Nkunku injury. So there is potentially a likelihood that instead of playing a back four, two pairing pivot, three attacking, and then one striker up top, so 4-2-3-1, the Chelsea might be looking to shift to a 4-3-3, which then gives you an opportunity to play someone like Lavia with Caicedo, if that deal does happen, and with Enzo Fernandez. So I think that's maybe where the acceleration in this came from. And we know also the other element is that Joe Shields, who had joined Chelsea from Southampton and from City previously, huge fan of Lavia. And as we know, every director, every individual gets at least one at Chelsea of a player that they are formally connected to and bringing them into this side.
Dan, he hasn't got his yet. I think it's really important to note that he hasn't received his player in the bargain, and so it's really interesting though, right? Because Conor Gallagher is still at the club, and as an 8, we know what his quality was at Crystal Palace, a Premier League team. If you're going to change formations this late in the game after you basically played one formation all throughout preseason, they didn't deviate on that formation, even with different players coming in and out of the team, mass substitutions at times in preseason. This feels like a pretty big gamble. Lavia, not exactly a creative player, more of a destroyer. He did score against Chelsea last year. I was there,
of course,
at St. Mary's for that. But this is one that kind of took me by surprise, I think, because it had been quiet all summer. We'd heard the Lavia stuff dating all the way back to last summer, right? And even in January, do the surprise bid, try and get someone in. If you bought Ugochukwu, who you're high on, and you have Conor Gallagher, and you're going to switch to a 4-3-3, wouldn't it just make sense to play Conor Gallagher as an 8, like a high-pressing 8? I mean, I'm not trying to beat this to death, and I'm not trying to tear down the quality that Lavia has, which, you know, apparently is highly rated by many teams, including Manchester City, from whence he came, who may have their own midfield issues, by the by. But it's just a little odd, you know, and it's like, I probably sound like a hypocrite to many listeners who are like, but Nick, you've been dying for a midfield all summer. What's going on? It needs to be constructed properly, right? You need to have the right balance of skill and talent. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
And just don't say no to a good present. That's all we're saying. Look, Liverpool have gone in multiple times now for Lavia, so this would be a very interesting swoop as well. We'll keep updated on this one. The other midfield news, or maybe the midfield news that people have been looking for major updates in a larger way over the past 48, 72 hours, is what was going on with Moises Caicedo, the hamstring injury that was reported as a hamstring injury but wasn't a hamstring injury, the disappearing from training, so a little bit of player protest going on as well now. Well, it was Jacob Steinberg who did report in The Guardian that looks like Chelsea, the plan is to get the deal across the line in time for him to play on Sunday against Liverpool, that there somehow has been a movement forward. We saw Miguel Delaney as well reporting that a 90 million pound structure with add-ons is likely where we're going to land, which was what I personally felt like we were going to get to, because here's the deal. If Brighton say that they want to hit 100 and Chelsea say we don't want to pay 100, if you do a 90 million pound deal and you say, as Chelsea, we'll give you 10 million of add-ons, but you may not hit all those add-ons, you get to the 100, Chelsea can say, we won the deal because we didn't go up to their valuation. Brighton can win the deal because they can say, oh, well, we got our 100 million. We didn't get all of it right away, but we will get our 100 million because we believe in Moises Caicedo. At the end of the day, this is just one that has to be done, dusted, and over, and I would absolutely love to see him in Chelsea blue at Stamford Bridge this weekend against Liverpool, helping Pochettino and team pick up our first 3 points of the season. At this point, the price is the price. Pay it, get it done, and move on.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan. I've agreed with that since the window opened, and you know, it's taken a little bit of rebellion from the player, which is a tough thing, right? You know, like, he's only been at Brighton for a year, so it's, you know, it's difficult for him, I'm sure. But, you know, they had a gentleman's agreement with him. Apparently, they're kind of reneged on that gentleman's agreement, and now he could potentially be with Chelsea. Get this one done first, right? This is the one that needs to be done. All the other things, goalkeepers, number 10s, number 8s, whatever you want to go solve for, a second striker perhaps, all that can be left. Get this fucking done. Get it done, and get it done soon, because it changes the whole complexity of our team, right? To have a real partner for Enzo Fernandez, or to have a player who could potentially function in a 6, even though that's not his, like, natural, you know, like a real CDM for two advanced midfielders, and Enzo and probably Gallagher at this point, is just a blessing we haven't had for a long time, and it's something that we need to get done. And I think last point on this is Liverpool is Thursday as you're listening to this. Liverpool is Sunday. If this does not get done on Thursday, there is a 0.0% chance he starts.
You have to register him by Friday. So you would need a medical and registration and deal sheets accepted and agreed to at the point of Friday, when there is a drop dead on registering him for the Sunday match. So the clock very much up against it. Chelsea have a lot of work to do, and they're still trying to do a lot of work. Tyler Adams is another individual that Chelsea have been linked to, reporting from EFI Soccer saying that a trusted source told them that Tyler Adams will be signing from Leeds to Chelsea, subject to the medical. That's a £20 million fee based upon the release clause. There was also reporting from Ben Jacobs that Chelsea were happy to proceed, that Tyler Adams is open to the move. There's a decision around what the structure and the terms of the deals are. Yeah, I think we've talked about this in a couple of previous episodes, Nick. He's not necessarily the starter. He's a very specific profile of being a destroyer in the midfield. 20 million feels like a good deal for the player that he is and what he could provide into this team. And seemingly everybody would want to get the deal done. The question is now, does the Lavia deal or something else impact the Adams signing?
Yeah, I mean, if you were just simply on face value going, do we take the 19-year-old who has one season of Premier League experience, right, for a team that got relegated, or do we take the 24-year-old international captain who has one season of Premier League experience for a relegated team? And the fee structure is that much different when you have other needs potentially to replace Nkunku or to, find other solutions elsewhere. Like, Tyler Adams would be my choice of the two. Again, he offers nothing going forward. I've been very honest about his deficiencies in the team. Tyler Adams is not a number 8. He is a hard-hitting central midfielder, who will do a job in winning the ball back and advancing you in transition and then winning the ball back again. Like, that's what his job is. But compare the fee structure, again, not my money, to where Lavia is. I don't know.
Well, definitely let us know in the comments what you think about the Lavia deal, about what's going on with Tyler Adams. But there's another one we want to talk about, which was crazy news that's just transpired over the last 48 hours. And that was Matteo Moretto, who Relevo reports for Relevo that Kepa is absolutely the choice for Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich. And that Chelsea and Bayern Munich have been in discussions about potentially moving the player, whether that would be a loan with an option, whether that would be a loan with an obligation. Does not seem like it would be a straight, flat-out purchase, but there is a possibility this window that would see Robert Sanchez elevated to being the first-choice goalkeeper, at least for a period of time. Kepa Arrizabalaga going to Germany to play for Thomas Tuchel once more, and Chelsea on the hunt for another goalkeeper or trying to bridge for a little bit with some of the academy crop. This one is just so wild to me that this is transpiring in this moment. I think we've got a good friend on Twitter. He goes by Chicago Dimitri. I think he said that he would be erecting a statue to Thomas Tuchel outside of Stamford Bridge if he were to take Kepa Arrizabalaga off of our hands. Look, I think it feels underreported to put too much credence into it, but I think it is an interesting thought exercise, Nick, about what would happen if Kepa did leave, what that would do to our goalkeeping situation.
You need to go find another goalkeeper, right? And it's odd. I think Valencia's keeper is the one that's being mentioned as potential backup. Dan's going to do some quick twittering while we talk about this, but if you want to talk about the ultimate twist to this transfer window that we did not see coming, it's this Kepa thing. I mean, Bayern Munich, Neuer apparently not really able to perform at the level that he would hope for to play a Bundesliga season after his horrific ski fall. Tuchel probably at this point is going, I got to go with someone who knows my system, and Kepa played sparingly, but knows the system because he trained under Tuchel for 2 years. I think it makes sense for Bayern. It makes sense for Chelsea. And then the real question is, who the hell do you go and get? Is it a true number 1? Is it a backup to Robert Sanchez? Like, what the hell do we what do we do? I mean, that is the craziest thing to me, Dan. As I truly don't know what Chelsea does now.
There's plenty of good goalkeepers out there on a bargain deal who are younger players who could be very interesting. I think Lafont is one. You have Diouf, who's another. They're two really interesting keepers. I know that there's a few in Brazil that are maybe interesting as well.
Mamardashvili?
Yes, Mamardashvili, the Georgian keeper, is another name. I actually think he was linked to Bayern Munich as well, so that would be interesting if Chelsea goes swoop for him after Kepa is out of Chelsea. But that still is, it still is yet to be seen if that is actually going to develop some legs. One thing, though, Nick, which is developing legs, which would make you very, very excited, is a little bit of a stalling on what was reported as potentially a go-ahead situation for Brighton with Mohammed Kudus from Ajax being a incoming transfer. Is seemingly the player is holding up just a touch because he wants a release clause, and Brighton do not want to give it to him.
It'd be a real shame if Chelsea swooped in for Caicedo and then as a number 10 backup for the injured Christopher Nkunku picked up what might be my favorite signing this summer and Mohammed Kudus. I absolutely love Kudus. Everyone knows that. I've been very vocal about it. And with Elise's injury that Matt Law brought up on our pod yesterday, this could be the right call, right? Go get someone who can play in a number of positions, who's a little bit more flexible than Elise is. And yeah, he's going to be a little bit more expensive as well. Ajax drive a hard bargain. But God, if we got Caicedo and Kudus in the same window, boy, oh boy. I'm rubbing my hands.
What would that window
together.
be rated? I think that'd be interesting to get the listeners' opinions on, is what would you rate that window if you end up getting Caicedo in with Kudus, also Nick Jackson, the Nkunku deal comes through. We'll caveat that with the injury. Be interesting to know what you think in terms of what that window would look like. And the last bit of news we have to round out before we get off of this episode is the fact that Reece James is now the captain of Chelsea Football Club. That is right, from a wee little lad in the whatever numbers to now being a Champions League winner and captain of his boyhood club. Ben Chilwell as the vice captain. There's a lot of discussion throughout the summer who Mauricio Pochettino choose. Thiago Silva seeming like a absolute lock to a lot of people, but Reece James was the individual wearing the armband in the last couple of matches, leading people to believe that this was going to be the end solution. He wore the captain's armband and lifted the Premier League Summer Series trophy. That's right, the little bit of fake trophy that we got. But ultimately, I think a really, really cool thing that has transpired. I love the fact that we have an academy player, a winner at Porto, who is going to be the captain for Chelsea Football Club for hopefully many, many years to come.
Yeah, I mean, it was it made me a little bit more emotional than I thought it was going to today,
really?
To be honest with you. Yeah. Well, old Stoneheart over here, just a little bit more emotional. I mean, look, it's obviously very cool for him. It's obviously a big step up for Ben, right? They are two of the elder statesmen in a team of U23 talent. So it's very cool. Obviously, Thiago Silva is going to be there to continue to guide both of them in defense and guide, Levi Colwill and Benoit Badiashile and all that stuff. I think that goes without saying. I've said this for a long time. One, Reece has to stay healthy this year, right? He has to be available. It's the best ability, his availability. And two, I really hope, and I think he did a great job to start off this campaign with the media today, but I really hope that he develops that savvy for media, that, get up in front of the cameras when things are going great, get up in front of the cameras when things are going badly, shake hands, kiss babies, commercial opportunity stuff that is required of a captain. We got so used to Asby and John Terry doing that so well that we didn't even think about it, right? It was just like, oh, yeah, that's what the captain does. They're going to stand up and eat a bunch of shit when we're bad, and they're going to stand up there and raise the trophy when we're good, right? Like, I really hope that him and Ben are able to lean on each other as leaders in this team to do the things that are going to be really hard. It's a very young squad. It's a new manager. There are a lot of variables in this team, Dan, but I'm hopeful that he can do it.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well too. Are you excited about the Reece James supremacy, captaincy that's taking place at Chelsea this season? But that's going to do it for a little bit of a quick update on all of the most recent news from Chelsea. We'll drop a few more of these, I imagine, over the next, hopefully, 48 hours with some more positive Chelsea news. But that's going to take us off the airwaves for this one. And until next time, you know what to do. Subscribe for more videos and keep the blue flag flying high.